With Jurassic World Dominion fastly approaching what is said to be the big finale for the Jurassic Park franchise, I thought it was only appropriate to go back and review every single Jurassic Park movie leading up to Jurassic World Dominion's release. And well, as you can see, I decided to spare no expense when it came to these reviews. So as I go through reviewing the series of Jurassic Park, remember, I love this franchise. There's really one movie that slightly disappointed me, and these reviews are just me having fun with the series, poking fun at some of the little things, but still celebrating it as a whole. But I do have to set a ground rule for this first movie. I don't want no comments about, well, actually, Chris, in the book they explain that... That makes me angry. But I would love to hear your guys' experience with the first Jurassic Park, your love of the series, what movie you saw first, which is going to be your favorite. Whatever it is, let's just get ready for the big finale and start hitting play with the first Jurassic Park of 1993. So with the opening of Jurassic Park from 1993, we start off here with a couple of crew members receiving cargo of a Velociraptor. We'll see a lot of things that this first Jurassic Park movie set a precedent for that will follow through in the remaining Jurassic Park movies to follow, to where horror fans like me want to give all the credit in the world to movies like Scream for an opening kill sequence, when in reality Jurassic Park started the trend years before Scream did. It's really such an intense way to start off the movie, especially for something that is PG. Yeah, it's still wild that movies back in the day could get away with stuff like this for PG, because we'll literally see people get eaten by dinosaurs as this movie continues, but Steven Spielberg always finds the perfect balance to tiptoe between family-friendly, yet violent enough for more adult audiences. Shoot her! But that horrifying opening is what leads the investors to send out a lawyer to get a better idea of what exactly is going down on this park and if something like this could happen again. That's where the movie finally goes ahead and introduces us to the real MVPs of the Jurassic Park franchise, Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler, a pair of paleontologists who are dedicating their life trying to learn everything they can about dinosaurs, even when snot-nosed kids don't be appreciating it.
And even the word raptor means bird of prey.
That doesn't look very scary.
Setting it up to us, the audience, that he's not necessarily someone who enjoys the presence of children.
Because Velociraptor's a pack hunter, you see. He uses coordinated attack patterns, and he slashes at you with this. Here. Or here.
Alan Grant, step away from the child.
But come on, Alan Grant, you weren't gonna scare this kid. He was literally raised by Freddy Krueger.
Let's go. I want to learn stuff from you. She's no fun anymore. Teach me.
I do think it's kind of funny, the fan theories that Jurassic Park fans had about this kid years later. Whenever we would get Chris Pratt's Jurassic World, people were speculating like crazy this was little Chris Pratt. But pretty soon, Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler are visited by the one and only John Hammond. We find out here that Hammond is the one who created the park, and because of the lawyer sniffing around, he needs a couple of paleontologists to sign off on what he's doing.
We're going to open next year, that is if the lawyers don't kill me first. I don't care for lawyers, do you?
Obviously, Mr. Hammond has not been introduced to the best lawyer in the business. And you know what, a little bit of an underrated opinion, but I love John Hammond. I think he was an underrated character throughout the series. You would think the madman who uses millions of dollars to not only clone dinosaurs in our modern age, but ultimately will use them for the entertainment of building a theme park would be balls to the wall crazy. But John Hammond in this movie comes off like such a genuine, sweet guy. Throughout the course of the movie, you really believe this guy isn't doing this to become even richer, or even for the sheer power of manipulating science and playing God with these dinosaurs. He just seriously thought it would be so cool to bring dinosaurs back, show them to the world, and have them experience it in a fun way through a theme park.
We can charge anything we want, $2,000 a day, $10,000 a day.
This park was not built to cater only for the super rich. Everyone in the world has the right to enjoy these animals.
The only drawback to Mr. Hammond is he will not let you forget how much of a baller he is.
I own an island off the coast of Costa Rica. Really spectacular, spared no expense. Spared no expense. Top of the line. Spared no expense. We spared no expense. Spared no expense.
This is then where the movie decides to introduce us to what is essentially the human villain of the film, Nedry. He's currently an employee of Hammond who works at Jurassic Park but is very unhappy with one part of the job.
Don't get cheap on me, Dodson. That was Hammond's mistake.
I call BS because Mr. Hammond made it very clear.
We spared no expense.
But we finally find our heroes on the way to Jurassic Park, where we're introduced to Ian Malcolm.
So you two dig up dinosaurs?
Well,
Try to.
And I think if you ask Jurassic Park fans today, it goes either one way. You either love Ian Malcolm, or you find him slightly annoying. To me though, what rattles off in my mind is that this role was almost played by Jim Carrey, and even though I'm someone who loves Jim Carrey and would have been so happy to see him included in Jurassic Park, one of my favorite movies of all time, Jeff Goldblum just plays this role in such a way that I can't imagine any other character playing it.
So you two dig up dinosaurs?
well.
Try to.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Finally though, our characters landing in the park, hopping into those iconic Jurassic Park Jeeps, they start to explore the island where we're treated to one of the best cinematic moments in history. But I truly mean that. This is one of the most iconic moments in cinematic history because every time I see this scene, it brings me on the edge of tears. The mix of that amazing John Williams score, the faces the actors have, and knowing exactly what this means to the characters who are paleontologists, basically have studied and thought about dinosaurs their entire lives, plus the technical achievement on film to bring fully formed CGI dinosaurs, which was something that was not common ground back in 1993 when this movie came out, always have a forever appreciation for this scene.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Hammond then continues a tour for our friends where we get to see a little bit more of the park. I love knowing the fact that they were not done with the sets for this movie, and Steven Spielberg had the idea to just let the crew members actually work as they were filming, and it really just adds a lot more to the atmosphere and scene that this park is actually in construction and being built. But we find our heroes here in the lab where they're getting a closer look at some of the dinosaurs being born. And there's a really interesting detail thrown in this scene that will pay off years later, and that's with the Wu character, the lead scientist in charge of genetically making these dinosaurs. When you're looking at him, he's erasing some data. Now, if you ask any real scientist, they would tell you, one, they don't write anything in pencil, it's always in ink, and they also should never be erasing any data that they learn. So this detail was kind of thrown in there for you to already subconsciously think that this scientist was corrupted and not doing things by the book.
And how do you know they can't breathe? Well, because all the animals in Jurassic Park are female.
Aw man, nobody told me Jurassic Park was woke. Females only?
What species is this?
It's a velociraptor.
We bred raptors.
Ah yes, the raptors. Probably one of the best things that started off here with the first Jurassic Park is the fear-mongering of how deadly raptors are.
They're lethal at 8 months, and I do mean lethal. They show extreme
that
intelligence, even problem-solving intelligence. We bred 8 originally, but when she came in, she took over the pride and killed all but 2 of the others.
The movie on its own could have just focused on the giant T-Rex that they'll be showing later in the movie, or maybe any other smaller dinosaur, but the real heavy emphasis on these raptors and their intelligence and how they work together create some of the best suspenseful moments in Jurassic Park, and ultimately the best sort of villains that carry on throughout the series. Because really, it's not a Jurassic Park movie unless we get sequences of raptors going after our heroes in such interesting ways. This is then where we get introduced to another key factor involved in the Jurassic Park franchise, a child's point of view. We meet here the grandchildren of Hammond, one of them who's very excited to meet Alan Grant.
I read your book. She said I should ride with you.
One thing I do find funny though, as this tour continues on, is they see very little dinosaurs at first. And now as an adult, thinking if this was a real theme park and I wanted to attend it and I paid thousands of dollars not only for the plane ride, the hotel, the accommodations, and I end up getting into a Jurassic Park car and don't see a dinosaur? Oh, I would be pissed.
Now eventually you do plan to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right?
I really hate that man.
Our heroes then stumble upon a sick triceratops where the crew of Jurassic Park are trying to figure out how did it get sick. And you know, while most people want to really go ahead and praise Jurassic Park for being one of the first movies to really utilize CGI for its full effect and enhance the movie and blow people's minds, I still want to commend it for knowing that you should always have a mixture of CGI and practical. Because that's exactly what Steven Spielberg does with this first Jurassic Park movie. When it comes to close-ups of the dinosaurs, he uses animatronics and it just makes all the difference in the world. It looks so real, in fact, that a while ago on Facebook, people used this photo of Steven Spielberg in front of a triceratops and captioned it with saying that a hunter had killed the first sighting of a triceratops in over 1 million years, and people thought it was real because that's how damn good this animatronic looks. Then again, Facebook moms be believing anything, so I don't know what to tell you. But something I never really noticed but find so funny now is when they're trying to figure out what's going on with the triceratops and what's making her sick, Ellie Sattler thinks she needs to go find her poop and dig into it to see if maybe she's been eating some of the poison fruit in the park, leading of course to one of the most iconic lines of this film.
That is one big pile of shit.
But really think about the size of that pile of poop and the size of the triceratops. You're trying to tell me then that this triceratops was basically pooping on the daily their entire body mass? Then it really shouldn't take a scientist to figure out what's going on. That dinosaur butthole's working overtime.
No mas Taco Bell, please.
But as our heroes are continuing on with the tour of Jurassic Park and exploring the island more, we finally see Nedry put forward his plan to steal some dino DNA for this rival company. And it's Nedry shutting down the systems of Jurassic Park that will ultimately lead to its failure and dinosaurs getting out on the loose. But I gotta tell you, something has always bothered me with this sequence of the movie. Because although yes, it leads to a very suspenseful moment and the introduction of another dinosaur attacking someone in a very horrific way, the movie's close-up of the Barasol can always made me think that we were eventually going to come back to this can. But throughout the entire Jurassic Park franchise, we'll never really come back to it. And even if we did come back to it, there wouldn't be much use to it because they made it clear in the movie that the DNA samples within that can only can last for about 36 hours before they're useless. But I couldn't have been the only one who thought that they were hinting at maybe something more with this can. Am I wrong? But now with their head of IT dead, the park is basically at a standstill with a lot of the safety protocols down, entering in the real star of this movie, the T-Rex. This entire sequence to me still holds up to this day, and I can only imagine how much it blew the minds of people in 1993. Because while you might want to argue some of the visual effects early on in the movie where they were using CGI is kind of dated, to me the CGI shots of the dinosaur here look so fluid, natural. A lot of that though is because Steven Spielberg knows when to utilize the actual animatronic they built for this T-Rex, and then when to switch over to a CGI shot. The behind the scenes stories about the animatronic they built for the T-Rex I also thought were funny just because of all the water they were using. The actual material that the T-Rex is made out of was sort of working as a sponge and absorbing all the water, sometimes making it malfunction where it would turn on its own and freak out the people there. And there you go, an idea for a movie, okay? A Jurassic Park-like film where they build animatronic dinosaurs, they come to life and they eat people. Make it happen. But back to the movie though, even though Alan Grant is someone who is not fond of children, he knows he needs to save them, whipping out a stick that produces red lights. But oh no, Mr. Ian Malcolm has to be the bigger hero here, and even though the dinosaur was clearly going to go away, he draws the T-Rex to the same spot the lawyer was hiding, turning him into a T-Rex snack that still is apparently appropriate for PG. No. Now, fun fact, it said that this actress was cast as the role of the granddaughter because of how good she screams. So, let's hear that scream. Alan and the kids, though, manage to escape from the T-Rex, getting lost in the wilderness of Jurassic Park, climbing up to a tree and being forced to spend the night. The following morning, though, they are awoken by a Bronchiosaurus with a bit of a cold.
Up here.
As they try to make it back to the others, they do stumble upon a couple of eggs, letting us know that the dinosaurs are breeding with each other outside of the lab. This confirms the theory that Ian Malcolm had.
I'm simply saying that life, finds a way.
But on the other side of the park, we have our heroes here trying to figure out how to bring power back, realizing the switch to turn it all on will mean crossing a path where dinosaurs are loose.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Clever girl.
But this also leads us into another great moment in Jurassic Park that doesn't even involve any dinosaurs, the race of Ellie Sattler turning on power while Alan and the kids are slowly climbing an unelectrified fence. And like I said, it's a great moment of tension that Spielberg created without the need of the dinosaurs being around, letting you know there's more dangers in this park than just those biting creatures. It just was always funny to me that the kid does end up getting electrocuted and not dying. Like, that's supposed to stun a T-Rex, and all it did was give him a new hairdo. Also, side note, after Ellie Sattler turns on the power, she finds Samuel L. Jackson's hand there, implying to the audience that he was eaten up by one of the velociraptors, but I don't know, man. We don't see a body. I know it's a long shot, but given how popular Samuel Jackson is today, I would not be surprised if one day he shows back up in these movies with a metal arm. But even with the power on and our heroes together, they are being hunted down by velociraptors, but not just any kind of velociraptors, ones that know how to open doors. These entire sequences, not only showing off the intelligence of the raptors, but how terrifying they can be, I think is what makes me love them the most in the entire Jurassic Park series. They just feels almost like they're xenomorphs in an alien movie. It's also easy to think of them as really smart when our characters are sometimes doing stupid things like, why is this kid just spending his time banging on his sister's chair when he should have been helping out the people behind him, grabbing the gun and handing it to him? But just as it seems like our heroes are going to escape the park totally unharmed, they get surrounded by raptors. And how the heck did that T-Rex show up out of nowhere? They made such a huge emphasis throughout the movie that this T-Rex will make the ground vibrate, yet he has the quietest footsteps for these raptors not to hear him. But honestly, who cares? Because it's all worth it for this shot right here. Having our heroes on board a helicopter unharmed, growing from the events, and hoping never to return. Honestly, I still think Jurassic Park is one of those movies that will just forever hold up for me. Every time I watch it, I love it more and more. I appreciate things I hadn't noticed before, and even when a new flaw comes up, I just ignore it because there's just so much to love about this film. We'll see how the remaining sequels live up to the legacy of the first film, so be sure you stay tuned on the channel for that. Thank you guys again. Gotta go. This suit's cutting off my circulation.